Welcome to the SARE Ladies podcast, the sister brand of Subtle Asian Real Estate, where our mission is to get more people that look like us participating in the real estate industry. We invite experts to not just talk about real estate, but also about our unique identity as Asian women and the cultural values that shape who we are as investors. I'm Anita Wong.
And I'm Tiffany Lee. We're both real estate agents and investors based in the Bay Area and New York City. Whether you're a seasoned real estate pro or just starting out, there's something for everyone here. So pour yourself a glass of wine or boba tea and join us as we celebrate the achievements and unleash the untapped potential of AAPI women in the real estate industry.
Welcome to the SARE Ladies podcast.
Now let's get on with the show. But first, a word from one of our fabulous sponsors. Hey Ryan, how's your student housing room hacking system going?
It's going awesome. So we're pulling in $40,000 a month, and I'm getting ready to quit my W-2 in about a month.
That is awesome. Congratulations. Was it easy to pull off?
No, I basically had to scale it over a course of 7.5 years. But really using the room hacking method, I was able to skyrocket my portfolio so quickly.
That's awesome. I'm sure other people would love to learn how to do this. Is this something that you're teaching?
Yes, I do. I teach a 6-month coaching program. It's one-on-one coaching with me through Zoom calls just like this. And basically we go through market analysis, deal analysis. We'll cover renovations to increase your profitability, as well as the marketing and the management and creating a full system for yourself along with teams. So you basically have this cash flow for life. You should be bringing in about $1,500 per month in cash flow per property.
That sounds great. Where do I sign up if I want to learn more about this?
Yeah, so we actually have a discount, a 17% discount if you go through my website, www.newbierealestateinvesting.com/SARE Ladies.
Awesome. Again, that's newbierealestateinvesting.com/SARE for that 17% discount. Thanks so much, Ryan. We'll see you at SARECon.
All right, thanks, Tiffany. I'll see you guys there too.
Now on to the show.
Hey, Pod Squatters. Welcome to another podcast episode of the SARE Ladies. So as you all know, we just wrapped up a stellar SARECon and Women Leadership Summit. And I have to tell you, I met a lot of people at that conference, and sorry, no offense to everyone that met me there, but the single person that stood out to me the most, and I actually think I used the word soul sister, was Nancy Kitti over here, who is our today's guest on the show. And no offense to our actual sister, Pommy, who is also on the show. Hi, guys. So nice to have you on.
Hello. Hi, Anita, and hi, Tiffany.
Hi. Yeah, Anita low-key wants to be the third Kitti sister.
I already actually have a cat, so I'm already like halfway there, I think.
Yeah.
So funny story that so we were in the middle of SARECon and we were like in the back of a conference listening to, our friend Adrian Fajardo's lecture. And she asked me, while this whole conference thing was going, this lecture was going on, what SARE stood for. I kind of looked around. I'm like, did this woman just wander into our conference? Like who just wandered in? Right. And then I was like, okay, I sat back down later. And then Annie, who is the founder of SARE, introduced me to Nancy later, saying that Nancy had been in fact looking for me the entire conference. And I think I was actually one of the first people she met because she asked me that question. And so anyway, I found out all about her sister, the amazing their careers as amazing syndicators, and even all just like the mutual relationships we've had. And I was like, you knew Hua, you knew Paul Peebles, all guests that we've actually had on this podcast already. And we just sat down for hours chatting. And then to top it all off, Nancy sent me a friend request, and then I saw on her Facebook that she finished Everest Base Camp. And if you know anything about me, and you maybe heard of my Mount Kilimanjaro podcast in the past, my eyes just widened, and I was like, oh my God, I think this might be future me, because I was like, I'm planning to do Everest Base Camp, and so we just had so much in common on top of all the syndication interests, and so I'm just super super excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, we're really excited too. It's funny because we share so many like interests, right? Like you hike Kilimanjaro, you did Machu Picchu, and then like you want to do base camp, and I'm just like, oh my god, like there's not that many women who love this kind of stuff. Not only just real estate, but also like adventurous stuff. So yeah, so glad to be
Tommy, did you do the same hikes or did you do them together? Oh my god.
here.
Guys, we're gonna start an adventure club.
Wait,
we're gonna start like a real estate adventure club.
Pommy, did you go to? Would you say Nancy is the more adventurous between the two of you? Who's the more adventurous sister, and who's the more like?
I don't know. We did all of them together.
Oh, okay.
Questions. It's like I think like I like to plan stuff, so I'll be like, hey Palm, I didn't even ask for permission. It's just like, when are you free? So I just signed up, because I know like I think she has probably more adventurous spirit because she would be like the first to jump like normally, and I'll be watching her like falling like 300 feet down, and I'm just like, okay, that just looks scary, or falling like jumping off from a helicopter and all those crazy stuff. So she's normally the first one to jump, and I'm just watching.
She's like, let's make sure you live.
Wait, so who's the older sister? Who's the younger sister? Pommy, you're the older one?
Yeah, Palm is.
Oh, that's like me and you, Anita. I would say I'm the more adventurous one, and I'm the older one by like a few months.
I think I did Mount Kilimanjaro, and you did.
No, but Nancy's the planner, so it's like it balances out. That's where I'm going with it. Anyway.
Yeah, and like, Palm just like loves number. Like she's a data geek when it comes to like real estate. So that's another thing about her.
So she's the systems person. This is like talking to our parallel soul sisters, Anita. It's so weird. It's so creepy. Okay. Anywho, I'll jump into the formal introduction for Nancy and Pommy. So Nancy and Pommy Kitti are multifamily syndicators based out of Los Angeles, California. Their remarkable syndication journey led from 0 to 300 million in just 5 years. The Kitti Sisters are remarkable investors, developers, and entrepreneurs. Their passion lies in accelerating the wealth of passive investors, showcasing their commitment to achieving remarkable financial growth. So again, welcome Nancy and Pommy. We're so excited to have y'all here.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we got a little bit about your backgrounds, like what you guys do for fun, but how did you come to choose multifamily syndications? And can you give us a brief background of the deals that you have going on right now?
So I'll let Palm take that.
So we didn't get into real estate right away. Like after school, we went to the fashion business. It was like a family business. So then Nan and I started our own thing, and we were doing really well in the fashion business. Until one day, all of a sudden, our biggest client decided to shut down all their retail stores. So right then, 95% of our income just went like, and so at that point, we had to act quickly. It's one of those moments, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, where like you knew that this is not a sustainable industry, but at the same time, you're hoping that you have like a little bit more time to figure things out, and you get that soft landing. But unfortunately, in life, you rarely get that opportunity. And so we had a hard landing. We had to figure out really quickly what we were going to do next, because it wasn't just our income. We're supporting like most Asian families. There's a whole bunch of other generations of people that you're supporting. And so we were like, what do we do? And Nan was like, hey, we live in LA. Real estate was booming. Like, we know design stuff. Why don't we try our hands at flipping? So we started flipping houses. We were doing fine. What was tiring about flipping was like dealing with the contractors, dealing with the city, delays, all this stuff. It's like you make good money, but it was pretty stressful. At the same time, Nan came across someone mentioning at I think like a meetup or something about like multifamily investing, and we were like, whoa, you can do stuff outside of LA and make money in real estate. We were like,
so that's how we got into it. So like we became passive investor, like we jump our head in first, and we're like, this is it. Like, this is what we've been looking for.
Yeah.
We want to do something real estate, but we want something that is scalable, because as many of you guys know, single family is like one house at a time. And like every project is like, you have to deal with different contractor or even the same contractor, but they're splitting their crew and stuff like that. So it's like really not scalable for us. And so we just love the idea of passive income. We never knew there's such thing until we got into real estate, where there's different type of income, and we were shocked to our core that, oh, you don't have to trade time for money. You have money in the bank. You just put it to use, and it's gonna create like like that like 80%, like 100% return in 5 years. So we just like, boom, we're in for passive income. And then we keep on doing like passive income deals after deal. And we got this big, like, massive like tax benefit. And we were like, oh my God, this is not just like good. It's actually really, really good. Like when we invest our first $100,000 in apartment syndication, like we got back $83,000 in tax loss. And I was like, this is real. This is for real. But then again, our income was like not like how it was used to flow during fashion. So we're like, okay, this is great, but we're gonna run out of money soon. So what are we gonna do? Like, are we gonna continue with the flipping industry, or are we gonna jump head in to do apartments? Because when you're a passive investor, you get to learn from the team that you actually invest with. And that's how we kind of like, you know what, like this seems like what we can do, and we can build team, and then we can scale.
Yeah. And so we started out 5 years ago. It was like a couple of days ago was literally our 5th year anniversary.
Yeah, and then our first deal actually closed 4 years ago, which is like in August 2019.
Congratulations.
Yeah, within 7 months, we were able to deliver over 300% to our investor. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
We sold that deal already, and we sold another deal during, like, we purchased in COVID. In 20 months, we exit, and we also like gave our investor over 150% return. And now we're under contract to sell another property that we just been holding for just 26 months.
Wow. So you guys are doing well under 5 years, right?
Yeah.
In your exits. That's amazing.
The goal is to double our investors' money as quickly as possible. And it's like all about velocity. So the faster you get your money back, the more opportunities you have to grow it. Because it's all about like how long we all have to increase our pot. And so the faster you do that, the more you get to.
And I think there's like so many different type of apartment syndicators. Some people, they're like, hey, I like my investor want a longer hold. Like for us, like we want to, solve that pain for our investor, where we want to help them quickly double their money as soon as possible. So
yeah, I think a lot of our investors, they're in the accumulation phase. So it's about like how do we get from here to get to up here, and what is the shortest path to get there? And so, yeah,
I love it. You guys move so quickly. Like I would even say like that velocity that you were talking about translates into the way that you carry yourselves as well. Cause you guys are talking like a mile a minute. And I love it. Like, do you get that when like people talk to both of you at the same time? You're like finishing each other's sentences and then like completing each other's thoughts. So it's like double. What it's like. Remember those old commercials with the twins and the double mint gum? It's like you too, but you're like,
sorry. If we're speaking too fast.
No, I love it though, because it's for me, the energy really translates to what you guys are doing professionally in the real estate space. So out of curiosity, you girls, I keep saying you ladies both came from fashion, right? So what was the income? How did the income cycle look like in fashion, and how does that differ from what you're seeing in real estate investing?
When we first started,
so in fashion, we also start from zero, basically. Like we grew our bank account from $2,000 to like multiple 7-figure. Just
basically the revenue in the last year was like $4.5 million from fashion. So we were doing well. But the thing is, we were paying
just us.
But the thing is, we were paying a lot of taxes because you pay, like you earn over a certain threshold, and the CPA didn't know what she was doing. She was telling us, pay the maximum, pay yourself the highest threshold of salary so that you can then like this, because there's a maximum of like the, like unemployment, whatever, like FICA, I don't remember those words are, but whatever you pay in payroll, because we don't, have to deal with that stuff anymore. Like there's a maximum that you have to pay no matter how much your salary is. So she's like, her recommendations, go to that, pay yourself the highest level so you pay the maximum tax so you don't get audited. Like that's a irrational way she thought about it.
So I think like it's like we clearly understood it's not about how much money we make, but it's about how much money we keep. So like like Pommy said, we consult with like so many tax consultant, because we're like, okay, we're making all these great income, but we're not keeping it. Because if you guys know anything about like, if you know cash flow quadrant, like we're get penalized. Penalized the most because like
self-employed.
Yeah, because as self-employed, you're not only like you're not taxed by being employer, but you're also taxed as being employee. So like for us, that was like a really, really like a pain point. And that's why when we came across apartment investments opportunities, where passive investor, when we invest and we got back that money, we're like, oh my God, like this is amazing.
Yeah. So basically like when we first started in multifamily, we were also doing flipping. And so as an active investor, you make your money when you sell the deal. You make some money up front, you make cash flow, but you also make money when you sell the deal. So you have to be able to figure out how to sustain yourself through that period until you go through a couple cycles, and now you're going to be okay, right? But like at the very beginning, obviously, we were relying on our flipping income.
Yes.
Like for day-to-day living.
Yes. And then like, but as you start accumulating wealth, like honestly, like if your syndicators like goal is to it's the velocity of money, like eventually like you're supposed to be able to line up like sell each deal like every single year so that like you don't have to work another day. So that's kind of like our strategy when we got into being a general partner, is like, okay, how do we turn this into like a lifestyle business where we can like fund our lifestyle at the same time also help our investors? Because as you guys know, like multifamily, you don't make money until you start selling the properties. So that's your question is great, because like what are people going to live? Well, our goal is like, how do we turn this property as fast as possible so that hey, we're in it for 27 months, 20 months, and we get back the money. It's not just helping the investor making that impact, but it's also helping us. So that's why we are more than motivated to double our investor money fast.
I love that, because every time I think of syndications, I'm like, ugh, 5-year hold. I'm not going to see my returns for like a really long time. But your ladies' take is so refreshing, and because I think it's because you come from a background in flipping and like living in New York, the fashion world is like boom, boom, boom. It's very like Devil Wears Prada. Like they're not lying in that movie at all. It does move that quickly, and you need to think really quickly on your feet. I'm saying this like I work Fashion Week. I don't have a fashion background. You guys are looking at me like, yeah, I'm totally in it. Like, yeah, I came from fashion. It's very believable. No, I didn't, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Like it's not just like also thinking, because like some people, even if they want to follow this strategy, sometimes they don't have like the background in asset management to take their business to turn it around that quickly. Because a lot of people like syndicator, some people are just chasing deals, so they just think like, I'm just gonna make quick buck, like all the fees, and then I'm just gonna let it sit. But like for us, not only we focus on buying great deals, but we also focus a lot of our energy in operation. Because if you don't operate the apartment well, you can't scale your business. You don't have repeat investor, you don't have referral investor. So not only do we focus on buying great deal, but we also, the most important thing that we put our effort in is operation.
Amazing. What would you say you took from your fashion world into the real estate syndication world? Because I'm sure that gives you like, you have some weapons in your arsenal that really differentiate you from other people. So what would you say that is?
I think that's a really good point that people tend to forget. Like when we talk to new syndicators, sometimes they feel like, I don't know anything about this business, or like, who am I? But the thing is, like, whatever you've done in your previous life, those are all experiences that carry over. This is just another business. It just happened to be real estate. Well, I would say that fashion was like 1,000 times harder than the real estate business. Like there are so many more variables, and there's people who like the Devil's Wear Prada movie, where they have ulterior motives that can like intentionally screw you over. Where I feel like in real estate, as the people we've dealt with on all levels, from vendors to brokers to sellers, I feel like there's a genuine alignment of interest. The seller wants to sell a property, and so they're going to do their best to manage it because they know we need to get the loan for it. The broker, they want repeat business, so they're going to make sure they let you know, like, hey, watch out for this seller. Maybe their books aren't as accurate, or they're gonna be like pretty straightforward with you, because it's a very small community. And if we buy a property and words get out like, man, this broker, he's just like really dishonest, there people aren't going to want to work with him. So it's like really about reputation in this business. So I think being forthright, having that organizational like understanding of like who, what role, and also just like really ability to communicate. Some people, when we first came into this business, we noticed that they came from like they weren't managers in the companies they worked for. They're kind of like, just, I'm going to be in front of an Excel spreadsheet. They lack that communication skill to speak to your property management company, to speak to your vendors, and speak in a way at their level, higher or low, wherever it is, to get them to do the thing that you need them to do. So I think that's really important.
Yes, and on top of that, in apartment syndications, there's many hats to wear. So like we always break it down to like 5 different hats. Like one is like the math person, you love numbers. So the people who are like, who are engineers, who loves the crunching number, they will be good at like sourcing deal. Like, like you don't have to be business owner to get started. That's my point. Then you have like relationship builder, like who loves communication, who could talk to brokers or build that relationship with
property management company.
Or the seller. And then there's like human capital where we just love to talk to people, and then and have like and get them to
invest in the deals.
I feel like you two are so good at that. I feel like you two as a tag team, you're like wing women as far as raising funds together. You're like just talking mile a minute. You're like, we can do it super fast. And, one of us and, you got two of us and we'll just double the speed. I love it. Okay. That is actually kind of true, right? Like most people, one GP is like 5 years. Two like supercharged turbo sister GPs is like cut that in half to 2.5 exit. Like you're done. All right, that's awesome. So when you started your journey, did you both know that you would be work sisters, or how did the conversation start where you both plunged into multifamily syndication together, which I think you guys worked as LPs and you saw how quickly it was working. So that you've already answered that question. You're jumping ahead of us. So what are things, that's how fast they move. They've already they anticipate the need. They know what's going to happen. All right. What are the things, I guess, that convinced the two of you that working together was a great idea? Since we know sometimes family relationships don't always translate into business ones. But besides offline, fun fact for everyone before we started recording, I asked Pommy and Nancy, I was like, do you guys have any other siblings, or do you have any other sisters? Or it's just the two of you? They're like, we have a brother, but he's not in real estate. So I was like, oh, okay, God. So you guys are the cool sisters. So what formed that decision? How did you guys arrive there? And this is all foreign to Anita, by the way, because she's an only child.
I think for us it's very natural, like because we work together in the fashion world. So for us to happen to lose income overnight, we're like, it was like if one of us didn't, like if she didn't lose her income, at least I can crash and live off her income for years. But both of us lost at the same time, so we actually had to figure it out really quickly. And I think in any relationship, in any business, trust is the most important thing. And like who else can I trust? Like I was born, I saw her, so it's like so it was easy for that trust. And there's always going to be some conflict or some disagreement, but at the end of it, we still have the same goal. And then we work so well together. Like I know like when to say or not to say, or like how to keep like I don't want to say happy relationship, but it's like happy sisterhood. So like yeah.
I mean, like I think
it's natural.
Yeah, I think as we get along well, we work together on the other business, and it kind of made sense. And I think like when you have partnerships, it's hard to know. It's hard to like understand like where they're really coming from, but like since we grew up together, it's very easy to like yeah.
So was this always the case? What about when you were teenagers? Did it shift at all, or you guys were just like lovey-dovey sisters the entire time?
No, like in high school and college, we actually didn't hang out. Like we were fine, but we didn't like, oh, let's hang out. It was actually after we graduated.
In real life,
that's usually what I hear about sisters. It's like during the teenage years, you're just like separate identity.
Didn't hang out. We like did totally separate things, like all the time. So
yeah, I think the real world scares us, so we have to group together.
We're like, oh man.
How many years are you guys apart from each other?
2 years.
2 years. Oh, so it's like you guys don't even remember a time without each other, really. That's so sweet. Do you remember being like only like just you for 2 years or not?
I don't really. I remember her as a baby. I remember her as a little baby.
Aww.
Yeah.
Wait, so are you, Pommy, are you the oldest and then Nancy and then it's the younger brother?
No, there's an older brother.
Oh, it's the older brother. Because I was going to say, if it was the younger brother, I get why he's not included, but maybe the older.
It's not like so here's the thing. In our family, no one believed in real estate because they thought it was slow. Because we live in LA. So they see the picture of like, man, there's no cash flow. And people are banking like, man, wait 30 years and it'll double. So our parents have businesses, right? And so their whole thing, the first time we bought a single family rental, which we had no business because we didn't really know what we're doing. When we somehow our dad found out and he was like, why would you buy real estate? Why wouldn't you go do like build another business? You make way more money. So what he failed to realize is if you took it as like a little thing, then real estate will not make you a lot of money. Like it'll be very slow. Doubling your money in 30 years is not what we're about. But if you take real estate as a business, you can make way more money than he had even imagined. And if you look at real estate as a business, this is like multiple trillion dollar global business. One of all the biggest players from like top, billionaires, they all have tons of real estate.
Yeah, they own some form of real estate. And another thing is, if you study like compound interest, then you will realize that for you to be part of that compound interest, you just need some seed money and then get in front of the right investment and let time do the magic. Because like you can try like trade a lot of time for a little money, but then at the same time, if you don't go against the gravity, if you just jump in front of the flow, then you're just gonna catch that river of wealth and a flow and you accelerate up. So that's what we like. Like we kind of like to study a lot of principle and think like, what is applicable to us, and we just happen to find that in real estate, and especially in apartment syndication, where we particularly love when it's like actually truly passive. I mean, we love our job, but it's like it's still trade time for money when you're doing active. But for us, like passive income, we still actively invest in passive income deals because we just love it so much.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know if you guys experience this, but like sometimes like what we talk about are just like really crazy big numbers, and some people it's just like they can't really fully grasp like what we're talking about. Like when we say our first deal was super small, it was 6.9 million. Most people are like, that's not small, but for us, it's small. Or like, hey, we bought $136 million worth of apartments in the last 11 months.
Yeah, 145.
145?
Yeah.
Okay, 145 million. See, in the last 11 months, stuff like that. It's like some people are like, what are you talking about? So it's like, okay, at some point we're like, it's fine.
Hey, we're going to take a little break, but in the meantime, here's a shameless plug for one of our amazing sponsors. Dr. Hua Win and her husband, Dr. Jaime Gonzalez, both optometrists by trade and owners of multiple multi-million-dollar optometry practices in the Dallas area, founded Black Steel Investment Group with a passion to invest to impact. With the foundation forged on 3 pillars, integrity, community, and legacy, they put their investors at the forefront of everything they do. The couple are both seasoned, full-time multifamily investors, syndicators, and asset managers who, together with their investors, have invested in over 6,900 units as general and/or limited partners in Texas, Arizona, Florida, and the Carolinas, with total assets valued at over $480 million. Juan and Jaime are always working to find new investment opportunities for their investors. The couple enjoys traveling the world for delicious food and interesting cultures with their 8-year-old daughter Athena and have a puppy named Coco Ollie. Now on to the show. Okay, so moving on. So it's great that you guys are still doing LP work. That actually segues into my next question. So in the syndication world, trust, as you mentioned, is obviously a very big part of the business. It's a small world and there can be a lot of exaggerated marketing out there. So how do you, ladies, find trustworthy operators, and what are key signals to you that someone can step into your circle and keep up with you? Because I feel like I'm sure I'm like, I haven't had my coffee yet, but you guys are like, oh, and I love it. Yes.
That's a really okay. So this is probably the most crucial question, and I'm glad you asked it, because we all get really excited about multifamily apartments, and we can see the vision of what it can bring for us and our family. But if you invest primarily with the wrong people, that can be a totally different story. It can be from a dream scenario. It can be a nightmare. So I really want to emphasize to you listeners that like, we can get excited about multifamily, but do not jump in before you get to vet out your syndicators. For us, we feel like properties, there's slight differences, right? But there's things that you can check out: location, vintage, blah, blah, blah. But the people operating the property, the people behind the scene, that's worth everything, because you can have an amazing property and run it into the ground, or you can have a good property and kick butt and make it to the next level. So some of the things that I think we would recommend do is definitely reach out to the person, talk to them, see how you vibe. Like before anything else, you need to see if people have really strong gut instincts that are suppressed. And so like, what's your immediate reaction when you talk to this person? There's someone that we had like a really, really, really strong like like repulsion towards, and it turns out he's like one of the worst people ever, and bad things are happening now. So I feel like trust your gut instinct, have that communication, and don't feel like you need to invest in that deal right away. There's going to be other deals that will make sense. So there's never like the deal. So that's the first thing. So vet out your sponsor, ask them for referrals if you feel like you want to talk to other people who've already invested with them, see about their track record. And the other part is like, you're smart people. What they say, does it make sense? Is it logical? Apartment isn't rocket science. It's the real estate business is actually really easy. The context is hard. Hey, how am I going to lift the NOI for this property? How am I going to reduce the insurance expense? Those are the contexts that are difficult, but general principles, this is not rocket science. It's not some sort of like crazy math. If we tell you like these are the very simple business plan we're going to implement, and here's the proof that we believe supports our conclusion, our business plan, and it makes sense to you, you invest. If it sounds too good to be true, maybe it is.
Yes, and I think like this kind of stuff, like Palm said, takes time, and you actually have to do the due diligence, not just the deal, but the human behind the deal. So as much as like, you know, like when there's something new coming up, like you do that research, or you have to do double the research when you want to have your money work hard for you. Like I believe that when you vet out the right deal sponsor, that's also the time you actually scale your business, because you don't want to be like honestly investing with too many operators, because it's hard for you to keep track with so many of them. Like for us, like we find like great operators when they have deals, and we feel like, hey, we want to invest in that market, we like the number, we just invest with like particular people and then just keep scaling with them, because that's not only how to build relationship, but also it's how you scale your passive income opportunity, because you don't just want to do a lot of work, like trade a lot of time for money. That's not what, like we don't believe in hustle, and we don't believe in grind. We believe like do something simple and easy. Like for us, like we would invest with a couple people, and then we just want to scale with them and grow with them.
Since it takes one time, right? You vet them out, you feel comfortable, you test it out, it makes sense, then you do it again. And so now like there are certain people, if they email and it made sense for us, we don't really even have to look at their underwriting at this point, because like I know you, I understand like your how conservative you are, I understand your operations, like it doesn't matter. People can put any numbers onto an Excel spreadsheet or a PowerPoint deck and make it look beautiful.
Yes, and I think like education.
I think that was no, I was like thinking back to you know, the lecture I met you at with our friend Adrian Potter. Like he just said, you know, don't, like we get asked all the time about, oh, what market are you investing in? It's really more important about what operator you're investing with, right? The markets will generally follow, right? It's like finding that one person. But I love that you're kind of keeping your circles tight, and then sort of spinning it from like the very few people that you know and you trust. And then from there, it creates like a, you know, sort of more bountiful and fruitful experience, right, for everyone.
Yes, and we just like to live life like easy and simple. Like we don't want to like throw money into like 20 different deals, 20 different operators, and get all the headache. Passive income should be really breezy and easy. Like that's our feeling, because that's why people invest in passive income. We don't want another job. Right. So yeah. So
it's sort of like sort of like love and dating, you know. It's like if you're putting too much work into a relationship, like perhaps you're probably not in the right relationship. If things feel easy and then you're kind of like, you're just naturally you're making like small actions, and it's like becoming a really good relationship, then you know that's the thing like you want to follow, right? It's sort of that.
I love that analogy.
I love how Anita started this podcast like 25 episodes ago saying, I never want to talk about dating. You guys talk about, me and Nelson were like talking about dating too much. And now you're the one making the dating analogies, because real estate is a people business. Everyone thinks that it's about like, they think it's just about the numbers. No, it's the context and the color behind the numbers and the person calling the shots behind those numbers that really dictate how an investment performs. All right. So that's mine.
So I think like one thing that was like when I met you, Nancy, that was really shocking to me, like was like learning that you both only had 5 years sort of in the game, right? And it's like that that's like this connotation of jumping into syndication. You better do it now because you're not going to see anything for 5 years, right? And there's like this like big concern that I had that's like, oh, we're not gonna, like, we better be making money in other ways, with fix and flips or W-2 jobs or whatever. This is also when I discovered that every syndicator basically still held on to their W-2 jobs. So I was just like, this seems fishy. Anyway, but I think like what you guys have done, and I think was really impressive, was like, like getting into sort of like the lead GP roles, like very early on. And I just want to talk about that, about like why that is a place you want to be in, how you kind of get there quickly, and then how you kind of, I mean, make it a fast fashion. I guess it's like, how do you kind of get the profits like sooner rather than later? So.
Yeah, so okay, so like for those of you guys who don't know, like lead general partners is basically the conductor of the syndication deal, right? They're the people who find the resources of like the deals, the money, the relationship,
the loan,
the everything,
management.
like, and operates, like basically operation would be based basically on the lead GP team. So when we first got started, we weren't lead GP, and we would never recommend anybody to be lead GP on their first deal. It's like, that's just like, if you're the best,
a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
if we're the best and we barely started, no one should give us money. That would be horrible.
Yeah, because that's too risky for your investor, right? So for us, like, and the reason we probably got like to become a lead GP pretty fast, because we were starting to invest in as a passive, and then we kind of learned the rope. And at the same time, our first deal, we call ourselves like junior in the deal, which is like kind of like co-GP, because we're just responsible for like smaller tasks. And for us, at that time, we would just want to be in anybody's deal, which is another mistake. But we were so lucky that
that was a good deal.
That was a good deal, and that wasn't us. Like, we weren't.
Yeah, we were not selective. If we were, one of the things that we would definitely recommend new people is like
how you vet your sponsor to give them their money for passive investing.
You should vet your
operator would be even more, because you ideally want to grow with that same team. Like, if you see like a co-GP or a lead GP keep bouncing on like to other teams, then that kind of said a lot about them and also their philosophy, because we're all doing this for a business, and business cannot scale if you don't keep the same team. If you keep on shifting team, then you kind of have to readjust,
relearn everything. And so like lead GP, the other way to think about it is like, you're like the queen bee. Like, you're responsible for that entire colony. Everything stops with you. If something goes wrong, you have to respond. You are responsible for it. And so the difference is like the knowledge and the experience that you accumulate, you can then bring that, and you literally, like, if something happens to deal, they're not going to know who your co-GP's name is. Like this, like these faces will literally be, this is it. Like, you will come to us. So
yes, and also as lead general partners, you have to have like an influence to get good co-GP as well, because anybody say, oh yeah, I'm a lead GP, but if your team is not strong team, then that's not really.
Yeah, and we're not doing all the work ourselves. So the great thing is, we have been fortunate to have accumulated or like brought together really, really strong operators, people who have different expertise in areas of experience that helps enhance our company. And so when we go into the deal, we don't look for co-GPs who have like similar skill sets, redundancy skill sets. We look for people who can fill in the gaps that we have. And so the thing is, like, we always know we're not the best at everything. There are things that we're really good at, but there's things that we are not. And so we recognize those gaps, and we always bring really strong co-GPs who can help fill the gaps. But ultimately, we lead, we tell, we guide, hey, we do this. Hey, why aren't you doing that? We make the call. We
make the call when it's easy and when it's hard, right? Yeah. Like, when it's hard, it's us getting in front of people, and investor in front of the team, in front of the broker, in front of our property management team. So but yeah, it's a really fun role. We actually love it.
And I think like that's ultimately, if you're getting into this actively, ultimately you don't want to stay at co-GP level forever. You want to then become a lead at some point, because think about this, like, you have a lot of people's money that you're like, we raised 38 million. And so
in our last deal.
So it's like, think about how many people are involved, because you have a say, because you get to say like, this is the decision we're going to make. your investors know like, hey, you actually have like direct impact and influence on this deal. There's been other deals this is hearsay, so we've never invested in this as an LP, but there's been scenarios where someone says like, hey, I think your deal is struggling, like, can we do this and this, and someone would say like, oh, I don't have control. I don't have control, like literally I don't have any. Like at that point it's like, dude, if you don't have control, you need to tell me that when you raise money from me. And so like, and let's be clear, like when we first started, we told our investors we're new, and that here's the people who are gonna have more experience, who are GPs in their deal, that's gonna help guide this. So it's not a problem that you're new. You just have to be really upfront, and they have to.
And then people would always understand that your first few deal, maybe you're not lead yet, right? But you're learning. Like if you're a co-GP with a strong lead, like all leads intention, at least ours, is we always want our co-GP to become lead one day. We never want
think of it as like an apprenticeship.
Yeah, we don't think of like co-GP as like, oh my God, we have to hog you forever. No, we're like, no, this is like your step to become the lead. Like we want to see you success. Like apartment business is so big. Like there's trillions of dollars in this business, and we're not buying trillions of dollars apartments. So everybody can have the cake and eat them too. Yeah. That's how we feel about co-GP and our
the law of abundance.
Yeah, I love how women. Yeah, it seems like more natural that I see women build each other up in that way. Like, hey, I'm here to develop you and nurture you and help you grow. I see, and this is maybe an overgeneralization, but I've run into like more men that are like, oh, well, if I give you something, you have to stay loyal to me forever. And like, I'm not, like they gatekeep the information, basically. Like I just had a meeting, I'm not going to name names, but I had a meeting with someone that was like, if I teach you how to do this, you have to like basically claim loyalty to me. Like basically you have to marry me forever. And I was just like, no. Yeah.
No. I think that's the wrong mindset.
And our goal is to help like people, right? Not just one person. So like as we help the co-GP, we actually want you guys to graduate so we can help more people. Like that, like every deal, like we try to raise like at least one or two of our like passive investor or KP who we deem is fit to the team, so that we can raise them. So if we keep on the same co-GP that spot, we can't help raise more.
Yeah, and we know where we came from with our experience with fashion, and we know that like multifamily changed our lives, and it's gonna it impacted in like the most wonderful ways. And I know there's so many other families who need this, who will have their lives completely altered. And so why would we be selfish? This is like it's not work, it's like our mission. So it's like, why would we be selfish and hold on to this when we have no capacity or desire to like rule the universe? It's like we just want our couple deals here, 1, 2, 3 deals, and we'll be happy.
That's great. It's almost like you're training your soldiers. And if you know how they operate, because you taught them, the fundamentals and the good steps, they can find deals for you in the future. And you'll be LP on those deals. And you know that they'll do a good job because you train them and you trust them. Yeah. So that's great.
I love that. Yes.
All right. So I think for the sake of time, we're just going to head right into our rapid fire questions. Right. Okay. Did you set it off?
Yeah, I did. Oh, it was so rapid. You didn't even see it. I'll do it again.
Okay, great. Okay. So we'll do Pommy and then Nancy. So, okay. What is the one thing a mentor or family member taught you that still resonates with you today?
It's not like he verbally said it, but one thing I would say is like, while I don't agree with everything my dad does, but I can see that he is someone who never gives up. So it's like you'll see his life is like this all the time. And a lot of people would have already given up because it's like, dude, how can you continue after those kind of like fall, right? But while there's other flaws, the one thing that he is really, really, really showcased is like very clear example. If you don't give up, you stay in the game long enough and you're persistent, like it'll turn around. So that's one thing I definitely say.
I love that.
So for me,
that was just for me.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's good.
Nancy, you're the same answer?
Oh, so for me, it would be like our dad who taught us that it's not about the price of the item, is how you manage to get it. Like, it's not like, how can you find creative way to afford stuff. It's not like, oh, this is like super expensive item, you will never be able to afford it. Like, we think creatively, like even for now, like if we want to, you know, like when we went to base camp, we have our passive income pay for our business class ticket and you know, like all the expensive trips. So that's the creative thinking that we learn.
All right, I love that. Okay, question number 2. Name an investor that you admire a lot and then everyone should know. Palmy.
It's hard because these people are not like everyday people.
I would say like Warren Buffett. Like, I mean,
Okay.
like for us, like we always call him Buffy, like in our, you know, podcast. We're like, we just say we're his friend. Like, and we told our audience, like
we're besties.
Yeah, we're bestie. Like our
Buffy.
bestie Buffy. Like, you know, we would refer to him a lot because literally, like his one quote: if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That has been ingrained in me ever since I heard that. And it's like everything I do is like, and I see so many people struggle because they're like, you know, they think they don't have choice of, like, you know, trading the time for money. Like, I think we all make choices and sacrifice. Like when you guys were asking us, when we first started in apartment industry, like we didn't have the cash flow, but we make that sacrifice, and bang, like in a couple years, like money just start coming back in again, because we set out our intention that, hey, if we want to do this, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna live, afford our lifestyle, pay our bills, and, you know, stuff like that. So it kind of give us the pressure to actually work hard and, you know, like, you know, sacrifice a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that. Okay, name a book that significantly changed your career.
Ta-da! We know that book.
Which book?
That little purple book.
Oh, that one. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
RD. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. What is one habit that you have in your daily routines that fundamentally changed who you are as businesswomen?
So we have fur babies, and I don't know if it's a habit, but basically we work with taking care of them. And I think, like, if you don't just work all day and all night, but you have other things that are like more meaningful, that you can like pour every ounce of you into them without expecting anything in return, it just gives you like so much joy and happiness. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, we can sleep at home all weekend and like do nothing but be so happy because we're just with them. And so, like, if you have something in your lives that you can like pour 100% unconditional love towards, I think that just makes you just a more happy and like,
I feel like this begs the question: are they kitties?
No, they're actually dogs. We actually don't like cats.
Okay, I had to ask that.
The funny story is, we used to not. So my mom grew up. She was bitten by a dog, and then we grew up being afraid of dogs, like scared of them. But then, like, one day, our oldest dog, we call her our sister. She crossed the street and came to our office, and like it changed everything. Like, that was the first time we pet a dog, we carried a dog. It was her. Like, everything we've done is because of her. So,
yeah,
she taught us, I love that.
And that's like, and so it's not like we don't like cats. It's that we've never actually like encounter like a lot of cats.
I think going back to habits, I think like simple stuff as, like, you know, like if you think about health, like, you know, you have to remind yourself, like, drink water, sleep enough and stuff like that. But if you think about work, it's like, you know, like for me, I can always learn from people, and that's why I love to talk to people. Like, every conversation I have, like, if I can just, like, you know, take one nugget away, it can change my life. And I feel like that's the habit I've been practicing, because I value like people time, and I value all our conversation. Like, just because like you're new to apartment doesn't mean like you can't teach me about apartments, right? Like all these, like, you know, accolades is like nothing when you learn from people real life experience. And sometimes I just talk to people so much that I'm like, man, I really want to help you. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you, like, you know, you want to be a GP. I want to be your accountability partner. Like, I so cheer for you. Like, I'm just like, I would like meet people and be like you, Anita, you want to be a GP? Like, what have you done since we met? You know, like, I'm just like, I'm so passionate. I just want to see you guys succeed, because
I love that.
And it's truly a lifestyle business. Like, you know, like we love our job, but at the same time, we also like, love to live our life.
I think that's so I think that's so true of like Nancy's energy. I've only like met you like literally twice, but it's like you're so involved, so invested into people's like success and really genuinely wanting to help and then like dig that nugget, like even no matter who you are, it's like you're valuing the conversation. I really love that, like about just meeting you, Nancy, as well. So I love that. Okay. So last question. What is a business lesson that every good syndicator should learn?
You have to put the time and energy to really understand what's happening today and how to evolve your business. You can't be stuck with what we believed in 5 years ago. It's like this is always changing. You need to be like on your tippy toes at all times. So pay attention to the dynamics and learn and figure out like what works today, because I think that's the most important.
Yes, and for me would be don't be in a place where you need to be apartment syndicator. Like apartment syndication should lead you to a better life. Like it shouldn't lead you to a bad partnership. It shouldn't lead to you stress. It shouldn't lead to like you losing your sleep, like
or losing your investors' money.
Yeah. So like for us would be like you're never
never be desperate.
Never be desperate, and never like, hey, this is the out, like this is like I want what is it I want it so badly that I'm willing to trade everything, even though I don't know if this is a good deal to be involved in or if I know the people enough. So for us, it's like take your time and then vet the people and like get to know them so that you can then your passive investing life would be easy. Not only will they hit the projected result, like return or even go above it, but you also get to scale it because now that you vetted once and they have like incremental success, then you can just keep scaling it with them.
Ooh. Oh my gosh, what a mouth. That was a mouthful. I think, are you ready for me to wrap it up, Ania? Because I know we're hitting time, right? So I love that you guys were on the show. What a breath of fresh air. I think the big takeaway today that our listeners can grasp from this podcast is you can always start over to improve your life. And it can happen a lot faster than you think. Case in point, Nancy and Pommy are crushing it. So I know you guys brought up the book Rich Dad Poor Dad as the book that changed your life, and I think what's so interesting on how that maps towards the story that you shared about with us today was that your attitudes growing up and your perception and your fears towards money, work ethic, that came from your dad, and like animals that came to your mom. It's so heavily influenced by your upbringing, right? But it's so fascinating to see like that's the first act of your life. That's like the things, those attitudes that you grew up, those preconceived notions that were nailed into you. But in the second act of your life, you being exposed to new people and new ideas can open like a whole other door of how to make money and form a life that works for you. If the way that you knew your whole life isn't like, you're just kind of on that hamster wheel forever and falling off and starting all over again. So I love that Rocky Balboa quote that he says to his son. It's like, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So how much you can take and keep moving forward. So that's what y'all reminded me of today. So Pommy and Nancy, thank you so much for being on our podcast. If our listeners want to find you, how can they best do that?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, if you guys want to jumpstart your apartment investing journey and figure out what type of investor are you, all you have to do is take our little quiz called What's Your Investment Secret Sauce quiz by going to kittysisters.com/secret sauce. Again, it's kittysisters.com/secret sauce.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Pommy Nancy. We loved having you here. And that about wraps up the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, and also you can find us on YouTube, the Kitti Sisters.
Love it. All right. We'll add that to our show notes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it was great speaking with you. I know I'm so glad Anita bumped into you, Nancy. What a serendipitous event that led to this conversation. So you never know who you're going to run into.
Yes, and then we're gonna go on an adventurous trip together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like I need to hike something like
Yeah. After base camp, it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
Space, outer space,
actual Everest, all the way to the top.
That's like 2 months of hiking. That's a lot.
That's too much dedication. I think I'm gonna
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's too much hiking.
Yeah, that's like that's like a 5-year syndication. All right. I'm gonna stop. We do have to wrap up, but this was fun. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Here's one last note from our lovely sponsors.
Hey, SARE ladies, listeners, Tony the CPA dude here, also your resident SARE tax bro. And with your lovely host, they came up with some great ideas. So Miss Tiffany and Miss Anita here came up with the tax workout plan. So we're gonna help you get cut up on your taxes, also gonna help you cut up on your own body. So just like working out, taxes is a monthly thing. You can't ignore it, otherwise you're gonna fall off the cliff. So with the code SARE ladies, we're gonna give you a nice healthy discount, and we're also gonna give the SARE ladies a kickback just to help support their podcast. I've had a fun time being on their podcast a couple times this year. They've done great. I really wanna see them blow up in 2023. So with your support with this creative tax workout plan and also a workout plan in general, we're gonna help you transform your life in 2023. So mention the code SARE ladies when you talk to me. You can email me at Tony@thecpadude, text me at 928CPA-dude. TikTok's the CPA Dude, website's thecpadude.com, everything's the CPA Dude. So SARE Ladies is your special code here, and let's make this year great.
Thank you for tuning in to the SARE Ladies podcast hosted by Anita Wong and Tiffany Lee. Special thanks to Subtle Asian Real Estate, LLC, our parent company.
If you enjoyed our show, please leave us a review or follow SARE Ladies on Spotify and Instagram at Subtle Real Estate. You can also click on our show notes to subscribe to our newsletters to stay on top of our news and upcoming events. Until next time, Pod Squatters.